It is an admitted fact that animated stories in Africa are usually about foreign characters, and most African children grow up with those characters and embed their stories to the detriment of African culture. Now, South African animators want to do something about it by pushing to elevate African content in the industry. Julia Stewart has the story.
Animated movies make up for a large part of childhood memories, but for South African children, there's been very little to identify with on TV and cinema screens.
There is a shortage in stories that represent black children, and the story that I currently had worked on was called Lolo, and it was about a young girl who has identity issues with her natural hair, and that spoke volumes to me because as a young girl, the only thing that has always been represented is European hair, and I struggled to accept my hair for quite some time. So having a story like that, whereas my nieces and other little black girls can relate to.
The Tshimoholong Innovation Hub has been championing the cause to develop animators in Johannesburg. But without proper backing from local broadcasters, the industry is limited.
They are hampering the growth of the industry, never mind the access to culturally relevant animated content. For me, that is critical to break this kind of dominant culture. And some of the values within these animation are just not values that African parents, agree with.
Young creatives, however, are optimistic that African content will soon find its place on the airwaves, especially with more accessibility to digital platforms.
I kind of just want to reflect the South African lifestyle and the culture. Yes, I do want to tell heroic adventure stories, but I kind of want to tell them in my perspective.
I think it's also our duty as animators to create content that's competing and that's of world-class standard, so we can actively compete with Marvel and all of these other big production houses. The internet and Netflix has kind of made an opportunity, or have created a platform for us local arising animators to create content that will be viewed.
It's set to make its debut on popular streaming site Netflix. But there's still a long way to go.
We have to deal with decolonization of imagery because all of the artists were so programmed to make the noses smaller, with the manga influence in their artwork. There's a lot of kind of raising awareness to what is African imagery, how do we represent our environments, our characters.
South Africa needs a lot more investment in the animation sector, and it's places like Tshimoholong known as the place of new beginnings, which will spearhead the shift in the industry.